Welcome to Your Gen Z Coworker, the podcast where we break down the workplace and focus on what truly matters, building well-being into your career, prioritizing life over work, and staying true to yourself. Hosted by me, Emily, a fellow Gen Zer who's been there, done that, and still figuring it out. This is your space for real talk career advice, workplace trends, and actionable insights that put you first. From ditching outdated office norms to embracing the freedom to thrive authentically, I am here to guide and inspire you. So grab your coffee or snack of choice, hit subscribe, and navigate this work-life thing with me on Your Gen Z Coworker. Hey, it's Emily. Welcome back to another episode of Your Gen Z Coworker podcast. We are back here in Blackmore Studio in Woodstock, Ontario, the perfect event space for anything you want to host. It's been a while since I've done a solo episode, and I love having the incredible guests that we've had on here, the experts in the field, the people passionate about what they're doing. I love being able to share those stories with you all. I wanted to kind of go back to my roots a little bit, because I think in the last kind of 2 months since 2025 started, since this podcast took off, since so many things have been changing and evolving in my business, I think I wanted to get back to my why, my roots. And doing so involves kind of doing a little bit of self-reflection, going back to how I started this and why I started this. And I think so often through social media, there's a lot of stigma around being your own boss, right? And running your own business and everything that kind of goes into that. And being your own boss sounds like a dream, right? You, no one tells you what to do. You have full control over your schedule, and you have the freedom to build something that actually excites you. And as much as those things are totally true, there's more to it, right? Entrepreneurship is not just working, from cute little coffee shops and setting your own hours. I honestly can't tell you the last time I worked in a cute little coffee shop, which really depresses me because we have some really great coffee shops where I'm from. But there's a lot of challenges that a lot of people don't talk about. And I want to kind of dive into those pieces because I think I want to de-influence the way that you're looking at entrepreneurship, but also influence you into entrepreneurship. We're kind of going to go through both sides, pulling back the curtain on the best and also hardest parts of running my own business, what I wish I had known earlier, and how I stay motivated through all of the highs and the lows. So everything has been going so smoothly the last kind of few months. And I was talking with a friend a little while ago about how I weirdly feel at peace. And through running my business almost 4 years, I'm just about to celebrate my 4th year in business. I think it's been so crazy and so much is going on at one time. And I've never really felt really in control. I never really felt that everything was going to plan. Everything was chaotic. I was just yep, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to try this. And everything was just constantly go, go, go. And even though I'm still in that go, go, go state, I weirdly feel calm, and I'm really cool with that. But it's taken, 4 years to get to this point. When you're really growing and building a business, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes mentally that nobody really sees. And I'd love to, share more light into that. But so I weirdly feel at peace, and I don't know if it's I just have more trust in the universe that things are going to work out, or maybe I have better systems in place. I really can't pinpoint it, but I'm really thankful to be in this spot. But today I really want to talk about what makes entrepreneurship both amazing and really freaking hard. Because if you're thinking about going out on your own, or if you're already out on your own, you need to know these pieces. So the way I want to structure this episode is kind of to talk first about the things that are really tough as a business owner, the hard parts behind running your own business. One of the hardest things is no one tells you what to do. No one tells you what to do. And as much as someone would sit there and be like, oh my God, that's fantastic. No one's going to tell me what to do. We all need a little bit of structure in our lives. And to be completely transparent, when I took my business full time last year, last spring, summer-ish, I did not provide myself structure, and I was really floundering, literally floundering. I didn't really feel motivated. I didn't really feel like I had things to do. I had some ongoing clients where I did the work, but I I didn't give myself a set schedule. Certain days of the week I wasn't doing certain things. Like I was really just kind of floundering about and being like, well, I'll get to it when I get to it, or, because no one was telling me what to do. And I never gave myself structure. So I felt really lost. And I think I really felt confused as to where my business was going and what it was doing because I had nothing set up. I had no structure. I quit my job and I was like, well, I might as well take my business full time. But then I never gave myself anything from it. Right. And it was hard. It was hard. And there were so many thoughts I had of, is this really where I see myself going? Is this the business that I want to continue? Like, do I just give up? And because I never provided myself that structure or, the day-to-day systems, I didn't have anything in place. I really, really felt lost. So one of the things that I started for 2025, it was easy. It was a new year. You'll always set new intentions, is I kind of gave myself structure. Mondays are my days where I just get all the back end things done. In my business, I'm, doing taxes, I'm getting, invoices together, just kind of working on back end website edits, those types of things. Tuesdays are my podcast days. So I'm in the studio recording, and maybe doing some creative work in the office. Wednesdays are the day to edit the podcasts, which I do everything. So all of the graphics that are made up, all the editing of the episodes, sound, video, quality, all those pieces. Wednesdays are my day for that. Thursdays are my days for more creative work, whether that's creating content in Canva or recording content, anything like that. And then Fridays are like my miscellaneous day. And throughout all of those days are also client work. So client meetings, getting client work done is all kind of filtered out throughout the week. And then my weekends are either, yes, they're my weekend, or it's overflow of what didn't get done during the week or things that I want to get done before the next week starts. And since I've set that system up in place, or I can tell you the clarity that I feel, the structure that I feel is so much more beneficial than I ever thought it would be. I thought because I was leaving, my 9 to 5, I was like, I hate structure. I don't like structure. I don't like working Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I wanted more flexibility in my hours. And I thought that getting back into that structure would really like derail me off my business and really not make me feel good about it. But I've learned that having those structures has really helped me. And I wouldn't say I'm necessarily type A or really need structure to my day. I like flexibility. But just having those days dedicated to doing those specific tasks has given me organization. It's giving me the ability to get things done and work ahead on things. And I've just been able to really balance things a lot better. So it was hard to begin with. And it took me 6-7 months to determine that, just being flexible and free all the time was not the right business solution for me. And getting some structure into my weeks gave a lot of clarity from that. Another piece of, one of the hard things about being your own boss is uncertainty is constant. And this is something that I've always struggled with, and also struggled with not only myself mentally, but also when I'm talking to other people, whether I'm talking to other entrepreneurs or I'm talking to my family. Unlike a 9 to 5, there is no guaranteed paycheck. Whether you're selling products or whether you're selling, your time like a service, there is no guaranteed paycheck. There is no guarantee that every other Friday you're going to get paid, right? And it's hard, and it's still something that I'm working through. And like I said at the beginning of this episode, I have this weird unwavering faith that things are going to work out, right? But it's also really freaking hard to go from constantly having a paycheck or constantly getting paid every other Friday or always having money in your account to I don't have money in my account, or that person hasn't paid me yet, or I'm waiting for a check in the mail, or I'm really trying to find new clients. And how I've been able to shift my mindset of the money's going to come, and I have faith that it'll come. has just come from 4 years of running business. It hasn't come from this place of like, I've made so much money, or I'm so wealthy. And this was something that I talked about with Holly when she came on the podcast, was that as an entrepreneur, I think there's so much stigma that like all entrepreneurs are like excessively wealthy, and then they're, they have all this freedom and all this money. It is not true. The majority of entrepreneurs are like going through these ups and downs of constant uncertainty of whether they're going to get paid, whether they're going to be able to put food on the table, like all of these things. That's the reality of a lot of entrepreneurs here especially in Ontario, right? As much as we like to show what we love about our business and how we're passionate about it, and we have, freedom and flexibility, there is immense uncertainty. It's hard. If you're someone who uncertainty is a really like, if you're typically an anxious person, or dealing with those types of scenarios sound like absolute heck to you, that's where or those scenarios sound really tough to handle. That's where doing things, as a side hustle to begin, or building something while you're working somewhere else might give you a little bit more peace of mind. And that's, how I started with my business. Another learning curve, downside, I don't want to say these are like bad things about being your own boss, but I think they're challenges, and I think I want to be open about those challenges, because I think we shy away from it. Like social media definitely shies away from showing you all the ups and downs. They like to show you the ups but not the downs. You wear all the hats. Every single hat in the business is on you, right? You're the CEO, you're the marketer, you're the accountant, you're the admin, you're the content creator. It is all on you, right? And early on in my business, when I had to make a website, I had used, what did I use? I used Wix. And I was like, yeah, I can make my own website. Like, that's totally fine. Like, I can do it all. And, I did build my own website, but then it got to the point where I was really transitioning my business, and I needed help. Oh my gosh, the amount of hours I spent trying to build a website and trying to make it perfect, when I should have been spending the hours with my clients, building my business, working on, marketing pieces or something that actually transferred my skill set better. Hours wasted. So many hours wasted. So I learned that some things you need to hand off to other people. And so I hired an incredible website designer, and she also designed my logo and everything. But that was the piece for me where I was like, you know what? I need to recognize what I can't handle and where I need to focus my time on, and I will find the money to pay for that person, right? But you do wear all the hats. And so finding a way to be able to juggle everything kind of goes back to that structure piece, Some days I'm full on content creation. Some days I am full on client work. But it's dedicating that time and organizing your time and figuring out where the biggest return on investment is. And that sounds like the cheesiest business jargon that you can use is return on investment. But it's really true. Like, where you spend your time and the return that you get on that, so the money that you receive to balance the uncertainty or to give you structure, that's where you have to really determine where your value lies. And so I think it's really important to not just focus on like doing all the things, but seeing where you can outsource or where you can delegate, to make sure that you're well balanced, to make sure that you're always taking, care of yourself too. I think in a lot of episodes we've had recently, we talk a lot about well-being and mental health and just taking care of yourself. And I think all of those pieces tie into being a business owner and ties into you wearing all of the hats all of the time. And I guess the other piece too is running your own business is lonely. I'm literally sitting here in an entire studio all by myself right now. And I can't really tell you whether I'm an introvert or an extrovert, but there are no built-in coworkers or team to begin with, for most entrepreneurs at first, right? You are going to be by yourself for a good portion of the time, right? And As I said earlier, I can't tell you the last time I worked in a coffee shop. I can't tell you the last time I had a co-working session with people. I have been all over the place, but all by myself, for the last 4 years. That being said, build your network. I have been able to build and find some incredible friends through outsourcing in my business, through going to networking events, through getting involved in the local business community, through network and collaborations, and just through clients, right? Some of my clients have become some really incredible friends, but it's been through just talking to other people, getting in touch with other people, just getting involved in every way that you can. And when your business grows, and if you want to be able to hire people, you go through that process of how to hire and finding that right person to work together with. But I think it's empowering to run your own business and do everything yourself, but it can also be really lonely. And entrepreneurship is not easy, right? These are the hard things. And it's really easy to come up with the things that are really hard and really tough because we're our own worst critic. It's really easy to come up with things that we don't like. It's just in our nature to be a little more negative than it is to be positive. But if you know these challenges up front, you can really prepare for them a lot better. And that's what I wanted to kind of showcase in this episode is, going back into my roots, doing a solo episode again, because I feel like it's been so long since I've done one and been able to talk to you one-on-one. Entrepreneurship is not easy, period. But when you know the challenges and you're more equipped to handle them, it can be really rewarding. And I think that's the perfect segue to go into the best things, about being your own boss. One of the things that I hinted at when it came to, giving myself structure in my business and having no one tell you what to do. The flip side of that is that you do have a lot of freedom and a lot of flexibility, right? There are no office politics. Thank goodness. There is no micromanaging, and you have complete control of setting your own schedule. Unless you're like renting a space from someone or something like that. But there is no office politics. There are no water cooler chats. There are no bosses who are constantly on top of you telling you what to do. And you're able to set your own schedule. And that was something for me when I started my business. I started my business for future Emily and current Emily, but more so future Emily. When I think of my future, I want to be able to have flexibility, full transparency. I want to have a family, and I want to be able to pick my kids up from school. I want to be able to enjoy a beautiful day if it's a beautiful day outside. I want to be able to have flexibility if I get sick or my partner gets sick or my kids get sick. I want to be able to have that flexibility, not feel guilty all the time. And I say these things and I think in the back of my head too, I hope that we get to a point in human resources that we are not guilting parents for taking time off because their kids are sick, or being a single parent and having to take care of your kids all the time, and all of these pieces. And running your own business, you have that freedom and you have that flexibility, but then that also can directly impact your income. I'm off on a side tangent, but I think I really want it to not be a stigma, and I really want people to not be shamed for having to take a day off because their kids are sick, or be able to take their kids to school and then be able to start work, when they get back home. And that's what I started my business for, and that's what I wanted to be able to have, that freedom and flexibility. And I hope that we get to the point someday in the HR world that other people can do that too. Side tangent, I digress, but it's important that I wanted to say. But you are able to structure your work to prioritize your life first. And you all know it's one of my policies. It's one of the things that I say, life before work always. You get one life. I want you to prioritize it. You cannot put so much pressure on your job or your job title or how much money you make, because at the end of the day, no one's getting out of here alive. No one. So you might as well be doing something that you love to do, that gives you freedom, that gives you flexibility, and you might as well just live your best life that you possibly can. So the way that I structure my work to prioritize my life is, I talked about before, I gave myself a structure. This is my week. This is what I'm doing. But I don't beat myself up if I can't get it done. Nor do I say no to social engagements. I prioritize friendships. I prioritize moving my body. I've booked camping trips for the rest of the year. I have plans to travel. These are all pieces where I think, you know what? I'm at this point right now in my life. I'm 27. I want to live like I'm 27. And so I always make sure that I'm still booking in those things that are really important to me. Camping trips. If I do another triathlon this year, if I, who knows? Who knows what this year holds? But I always make sure that every decision I make with my business, I keep in mind that I'm still putting my life first. And I'm still putting those pieces that are really important to me first. And I'm able to do that as a business owner because I have freedom and flexibility, because I am my own boss. Another piece of being a really amazing piece about being your own boss is you have creative control. And I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I don't know if I ever thought myself to be a creative person. I finished high school with, really good grades. I thought that I was academically inclined. I hit university and realized I was not academically inclined. And, I went to school for business. So I thought that I was very structured and very rigid and very organized. But then when I started to step out of my comfort zone a little bit and try new things, and when I got in front of class for the first time and did a speech, I realized that I'm actually a really creative person. And I like to have fun and try new things and be bubbly and wear bright clothes and all of the things. And so I realized that I'm a lot more creative than I thought I was. And so when starting my business, I realized, oh my gosh, I can have all the creative control that I can, because every decision is mine, from my brand voice to my business model. My business model is very unlike other business models. I am not the organized, rigid business person that I thought I was. I literally talk about life over work, well-being, and individuality. Being exactly who you are, embracing life, and making sure you're taking care of yourself. I don't know any other business model that looks like that. Do you know a lot of businesses who have bright orange and bright green and who did their brand photo shoots with like bright pink, bright orange, and bright green? Not many. And if they are, they're really creative. And I think for me in the HR world, I need that. I need those pieces to be creative, to stand out, to make a difference, because I think otherwise I'm just going to look like one of those other HR firms. And those other HR firms are great. But at the end of the day, I have my unique value proposition to take it back to business. I have what I uniquely offer, and I want to make sure that that's showcased in everything that I do. And same with this podcast, right? The same way I started my podcast is I'm doing this in a way that feels right for me, to talk about things that are challenging, to talk about things that, either inspire people or educate people or just challenge the way they think. These are the reasons why I do this. And the ability to have my creative freedom has taken me from the level of I'm just a business person to I'm a business person who's also really creative, to put it in the most simple terms. So I have loved that part of being my own boss, of having that creative control. And what branches off of that is because I have freedom and flexibility, because I have the ability to be creative, I have direct impact into my business. And this is something that's constantly missed in, working for someone else, is it's really hard to see the direct impact of the work that you're doing. But as an entrepreneur, the work that you do, the work that I do, actually matters. I don't feel like a cog in the machine. I don't feel like another number in the company. I don't feel like my job title is just who I am. I have direct control over what I do. I have the ability to be creative and be fun and be bubbly and be colorful in every way I can in the HR space, which is really hard to feel in a 9-to-5, in working for someone else. And that sucks. And again, going off on another tangent here, I want you to not feel like that. I want you to not feel like you're just another number in the company, that you're just your job title, that, where you land in the company, like, has so much value. It doesn't. Like, it really doesn't. And I want you to feel like the work that you're doing has a direct impact on somebody. And I hope that you do realize that at some point. And I hope you find your purpose, and I hope that you find your passion. And this is just going into a plea of like just doing what you love. But it's hard. It's hard in this space because I see the potential. I see so many incredible people, and I know the impact they can make, and I want them to be elevated, and I want them to see their worth and their value. But I can only do that on a case by case basis, right? I can only, how I work with clients and how I've been able to, start speaking and do conferences and things like that has felt more fulfilling to me in any job that I've had. And I want to help other people, I want people to find the same. I just want everybody to be happy. I feel like some Miss whatever America contestant. I just want everybody to be happy. I want there to be world peace. I want you to have passion and love what you do, and live your life as best as you possibly can. I want all of these things for you. I do. I really do. Being your own boss, the good parts are really, really good. The tough parts are also really, really tough. But there's a way that somehow that all balances out. A few things that I wish I knew before I started. I wish I knew about these challenges for sure, but also I don't. When I started my own business and really started exploring this idea, I didn't have a lot of other people that I knew that had started a business. Like, I probably followed some entrepreneurs on Instagram, but not really. Like, when I started 4 years ago, there was not a lot of people that I knew who were also entrepreneurs. And so I didn't know a lot before I got started. And these are a few lessons that I kind of wish I knew before I started. Number one, you do not have to have everything figured out. You do not have to have everything figured out. Business evolves. You as an individual evolve. What you start out with is most likely going to change. And that is completely normal. When I started my business, I started it as Emily Nicole, which is my first name and my middle name. I was just a business consultant. I helped people with anything and everything. I had the most boring logo that I made in Canva myself, which I was pretty proud of, and I obviously still kept it. Picture of it anyways. It was like Think HR, but with a little light bulb. And then that evolved, and it was tan. It was tan. My logo was tan. How boring. And then I evolved to a new logo that was navy blue and pink, and it was kind of similar to the logo I had with a little light bulb, and it was we're sort of business blue still, but we're kind of becoming a little more creative, and so pink and blue were my colors. And I was kind of more evolved into HR pieces, and then things shifted that I was you know what? I want to be totally different. I want to be creative. I want to be fun. I want to be approachable. I want to be relatable. And so then came, the bubbly font, the green and orange logo, the fun brand shoot, shifting things to being about Gen Z, embracing who I was. And to think that I started out with a tan logo that I made in Canva myself, mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing to me. So you don't have to have everything figured out right away, because your business is going to evolve and your business is going to shift, and what you start with is going to change, and that's completely normal. I wish I knew that starting out. Also, second point, rest is actually very productive. And I know when I had my sister on the podcast, we talked a lot about how I don't know how to rest and I don't know how to relax. And I'm definitely still working on that piece. But working 24/7 does not mean success. It doesn't. Working all the time is draining, exhausting, and the more I realized that I needed to take a break and take a step back was really beneficial to me. And last year when I took my business full time and I didn't have a set schedule, I was definitely resting, I would say, a good amount. And I think it gave me the creativity to really take things up to the next notch in 2025. So rest is very productive. Please prioritize it, whether you're an entrepreneur or not. Rest is very productive. And working all the time and constantly being on the go completely kills your creativity, period. You being in a constant state of absorbing information, of working with clients all the time, with, just thinking that you're doing things with your business, but it's actually just busy work. It really kills your creativity. And sometimes you need to go take a walk in nature or lay on the beach or have a solo camping trip to be able to take a step back from everything and realize, you know what? I was taking things a little too seriously. And now that I'm not, you're able to be more creative in that aspect. Another thing I wish I learned is rejection is part of the game. When I did get hit with no, I took it really hard, and I took it like, I was like, oh, they don't want me, they don't know me, they're rejecting me, and it totally sucks, and I'm gonna really be down on myself about it. But getting a no was really just redirection. I took my first few initial no's as complete failure, right? But rejection is just redirection. And the more that you focus on that mindset of getting a no just means that the right yes is coming along, that's where my weird faith in the universe has just kind of continued to show up. I know things are going to change. I know things, if they say no, it just means something really great is coming along next. So rejection is just part of the game. The other piece is having support makes a really big difference. When I started my business, my support system consisted of probably myself, my sister, and my boyfriend, who is now my fiance. And I was really quick to be like, I don't have a lot of people that support me. There's not a lot of people in this field. I felt misunderstood by a lot of people that were close to me about starting my own business. And so that really sucked. But then when I started to expand my network and get involved in things and meet people and have conversations, I realized that community and support was a lot bigger than I thought it was initially, that there was a lot more to my support system, and just reach out and talk to people. So through all those pieces, you don't have to have it all figured out. Rest is more productive than you think it is, and rejection is just kind of part of the game. If you're thinking about going out on your own, start before you're ready. Start before you're ready. Get out of your comfort zone and start before you're ready. Really often we think we need to make these really calculated decisions, right? We need to have this in place and this in place and this in place in order before we do this, and this needs to happen, and I have to name my business, and these are the things that have to come together. I went from having my name as my business to Think HR, to changing my logo 3 times, to rebranding, to doing all of the things. And I did it all before I was ready. I did it all before I was like, I didn't have things together. I didn't know how to start a business. I didn't know how to do accounting. I didn't know how to invoice people. I didn't know how to pay myself. I didn't know how to do a lot of things. I didn't know how to value myself. I still don't know how to value myself. I'm working on it. But start before you're ready, and just start and try things, and just trust that you'll figure it out as you go, and lean on people and connect with people. I think community is also a really big piece of this too, is, talking to people and trying new things and seeing if your idea is a good one. Yeah, that was a lot. But yeah, start before you're ready is, I think, one of the other pieces that I think, helped me to get to where I am today, but also is going to help other people if you're thinking about becoming your own boss, or you're kind of your own boss, you just haven't taken it to that next level yet. So, we talked about some of the hardest parts of being your own boss, right? No one tells you what to do. That uncertainty is constant all the time. You're wearing all the hats, and it can really be lonely as heck. But then we have the benefits of being your boss, right? You have freedom and flexibility, you have creative control, and you have direct impact in what you do. And I just love that. I just love this. I love this little space in this little world, and I love that I'm able to share these pieces with you. I really just got like a wave of imposter syndrome as I was saying that. I love being able to do this. And I think sometimes we think that we're not good enough, or we don't have the right skill set, or, people aren't going to take us seriously, but just go for it. Just do it. Just start before you're ready. You don't have to have it all figured out, right? These are the things I wish I knew. You don't have to have it all figured out. Rest is productive. Rejection is part of the game. And you need to start before you feel ready, always. Um, I say all this, and Holly and I talked about this too, is entrepreneurship is not for everyone. It's not. And whether I knew or not entrepreneurship was for me, I took that leap and I tried it. And it's the same thing when I teach my clients, if they want to try a new industry or try a new field, just like quit your job and try one. And if that doesn't work, then you quit that and you start another one. You're never going to know if you don't try. But entrepreneurship is not for everyone. But if you feel called to it, don't let fear stop you. Don't let feeling like you have to have certain things together stop you before you even get started. If you are thinking about becoming self-employed, or if you are self-employed, feel free to connect with me on Instagram, or comment on YouTube with what your biggest question is about being an entrepreneur, and kind of just what that field looks like. Thank you for listening to this episode of your Gen Z Coworker podcast. I love having you on here. I love having you listen and learn all these different pieces from me and from all the amazing guests that I have. If you want to leave a review, please feel free to do so. I'd really love to get some more reviews on the podcast. You can listen to this episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and also on Rogers Channel 13 Woodstock. I'm so grateful to have you all here. I'm so grateful to be able to do what I do. And I just love every single minute of it. And I cannot wait to talk to you on the next episode. Have an amazing day.